What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Rice Rocketeer. Thanks for tuning in. Today's video, well, first of all, today's a gorgeous afternoon or gorgeous evening, really. I've been inside at work all day at a desk, so I just wanted to squeeze out a little bit of the day. Sun's going down now, so I'm going to take the Indy and we're going to go into the city. Usually don't do the middle of the city, like Midtown, but it should be fairly empty today. So yeah, before I get into the topic, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Click that subscribe button for NYC motorcycle content. If you are already subscribed, welcome back and thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Let's get into the video. Alright guys, so today's video topic will be about my transformation or my journey from sport bike to cruiser. Rather big one, and you know, I get to bounce between the two now, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on that process because I knew it was going to be a thing, didn't know how big of a thing, and I want to share that with you. So let's go. Oh. Can't see. All right, guys, so we are going to go through Midtown right now, and I've snapped into my cruiser mentality, and I'm ready to just chill, so that's what we're gonna do. There's a couple stretches where I might just give it a little bit of gas, but that's really the extent of it. It's gonna be a really laid-back, chill ride as the sun goes down. I'm rather looking forward to it all day. And the worst place, I hate being in the middle of the road. Chill. Alright guys, so if you are new to the channel and you have not watched a majority of my content, guys, I am typically on a 2024 Triumph Street Triple RS in Cosmic Yellow. It is a inline triple, 765cc, and it is best defined or best described as a sport bike, because it is a sport bike. It's very sporty. That sportiness is something that I've loved and I've really gotten into over not only the past year, but multiple years. I was kind of always dead set on having a sport bike, and I'm not tired of it. I'm not regretting it. And I don't not enjoy that experience, but I did a video on this. The past couple months, I really wanted to get into a more relaxed ride. And that was kind of the thinking behind this bike. I did not want to get a huge bagger or anything like that because it's just kind of impractical for the type of riding I do. But I always had my eye on this Indian Scout Rogue because it's, as you can tell, very laid back, but also you're capable of revving it out and being slightly sporty if you want to be. So made the decision to get a second bike, this bike that I am on right now, about a month and a bit ago, maybe two. Actually, it's been about 2 months, and I am absolutely loving it, but it took me a while to really fall in love with it. There was a period where almost fell over there. There was a period where I was kind of questioning my decision, and I was like, A, do I really need two bikes? And B, do I like this cruiser laid back thing as much as I thought I did, as much as I did on paper, right? So there were a bunch of things that kind of stuck out to me and kind of took me by surprise, and I wanted to share those things along this ride. I'm gonna wait until we get around the corner here to start, but God, it's actually a little hotter than I thought. Woohoo! That is so much fun. Even the simplest fun things are fun on this bike, guys. That's one of my main points, which I'll get to. Anyway, so my jump between, or sorry, I keep saying that, my jump from a sport bike to this right in front of you, for the first month during my break-in period, the first 3 weeks, I really was like, I came in trying to see, you know, like how this holds up in the city, and I hadn't fully jumped over to the cruiser mindset. And I think that's the most important thing to wrap your head around if you're going to make that transition, or the transition in the opposite way, right? Like, yes, it is a relaxed seating position. Like, everything on paper, I was like, it's relaxed, so I get it. It's going to be a relaxed ride. My feet are out forward, my hands are up high. It's a V-twin. It's not an inline triple or an inline four, so I'm not revving the hell out of it. Different ride, right? That's all good and well. But when you're on it, if you don't switch your brain over to the type of ride that you are supposed to have on this motorcycle, it's really all for nothing. So it wasn't until week 4 that I really kind of like adjusted. I was like, oh, you know what? When I'm on the highway, I'm not staying in third gear until I'm at like 80 miles an hour. Even though the bike is capable of doing that and can, that's not where this bike really comes alive and really feels as magnificent as it is. You know, I had to train myself right there, like to shift at that point, and that's when the bike, this low down part of the rev range is where the bike feels the way it should, and you get the most emotional reaction from the bike. So I was really not fully enjoying the bike because I was riding it the way I would ride my triple. It's not to say I couldn't. I can rev this bike, this particular, the Indian Scout Rogue. I can rev all the way until 8,000 RPM without it falling off. It doesn't mean I should. I can split lanes on this bike. Doesn't mean I should, because it's just not as much fun to do it on, you know? That's my opinion. I'm sure people will disagree with me. But that right there, that's the fun part. That brrrr at the bottom. Anything below halfway, that's like where this bike feels just amazing. And so by week 4, I figured that part out. And I started having a really good time. Let's see. You know, I started really enjoying these rides. I stopped trying to get from point A to B quickly and smoothly. It was more so feel the bike as you like unleash all the torque, right? And like, so that would be my biggest tip to anybody making a transition, whether it's cruiser to sport bike or sport bike to cruiser, guys. Think about the mentality and think about if that's a mentality you want to experience on the daily or the regular. You know, if you want a sport bike because of the visuals and how it looks, and you know, it's just the cool bike you had in your head, think about if you really want to be in the sport mentality. Do you want, like, I don't care what anybody says, if you get a sport bike, you want to go fast. Like, that is how that bike feels good. You can ride it tamely all you want, but it's just not all that much fun, right? Like, the triple is a perfect in-between because you can ride it kind of tamely, but if you get an inline 4, which inline 4s are kind of on the way out, debatable, but if you get an inline 4, there's no way in hell that you don't want to rev it out. Like, it's built to rev out, it's built to make you want to rev out. And you know, it's like, do you want to be in that position where you're constantly, as I describe it, like trying to put a leash on the bike, or do you want to just enjoy the bike for what it is, right? So you got to decide. Oh, god damn, bumps. You just have to kind of wrestle with that idea and determine if you want that experience or not. So, I know I did want a cruiser-like experience. I didn't realize that I'd have to kind of readjust my frame set or my mindset. But once you do, it gets a lot better, guys, because even simple rides through the city on the triple, Sure, it's fun and you can maneuver on a sport bike, right? But on a cruiser, you really get to enjoy it. You're sitting upright. You get to take in the scenery. I've actually looked around and seen parts of buildings I didn't even know exist, like places that I travel across every day. I pass every day on my way to work. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that existed, because when you're riding on a sport bike, you're down here and you're committed to the technical, committed to the present, right? And this, not that you shouldn't be committed, but you're kind of like, you're enjoying the scenery. Like, I could see people eating, whereas like usually I don't even pay that any mind. So it's actually a quite nice ride, especially on a day like today when the sun's just setting, and like that is beautiful to me. All the sewage coming out of the streets. Viva la NYC, yeah? Which, if you are not from New York, that is straight from the sewer. I don't know if it's actually terrible for you or not, but I have walked through a cloud or two in my life, and it is rather unpleasant. So it'll make for a great cinematics, though. So let's see what that looks like. Maybe I'll go down. I always go down 5th Ave. Suppose I can do that. I don't know. God, I love the sound of this exhaust. It gets me going, guys. I'm so glad I made that upgrade, and I'm so glad it was only $100. Crazy. Sounds so good. It's like someone's beating your eardrum with a studded boxing glove. It's just beautiful. Woo! Park Ave, my friends. Billionaires Row, I believe is what they call it. Whole strip right here. I'm sure if you have ever Googled New York, this avenue has come up. Funny story. It's actually not funny at all. However, the place I work for now, the construction firm, the general contractor, we do a lot of work on Park Ave, and it is quite the scene. There's a lot of very fancy apartments in this area. Like straight out of Gossip Girl type of fancy. Very impressive. Also kind of eerie, like not as rewarding as you think. I feel like most people will be like, oh yeah, $1 billion apartment, great. It's just a little unnerving. It's just too perfect, it's too big, it's not supposed to be. No one's supposed to have that much money. It's weird. Just my humble opinion. Let's go. Come on. Ew, hole in the ground. Oh, look at that. What do we got? Actually, I think that might just be an electric bike. Anyway. Guys, back to the topic of the video, going from sport bike to cruiser. So the first thing is change your mindset. You gotta readjust where you're at and what you expect from the bike. And then second thing is that if, obviously the seating is completely different, but everything about the bike is different, from the brakes to the suspension to everything. So I would really suggest taking your time, guys. Like, if you could do a test drive on one of these things, it's great. But, like, reviews are kind of calibrated, because nobody reviews a cruiser and compares it to a sport bike, because you just don't. So when you hear, like, the brakes are great on a cruiser, that might mean something different to you if you're coming from a sport bike. So, in all the reviews I read that, like, the front brake, we're surprised that there's only one disc in the front of the Indian Scout Rogue. However, it's really good and really competent, has a lot of stopping power. So I was like, cool, great. Now, I get out there on this bike, and I'm going, and I pull the front brake, and I'm like, this is not at all what you described. This is, like, not great stopping power. But then, I realized as I get to know it, it's a fine front brake, and nor are you, like, going into corners on a cruiser, but, like, it's good for cruisers. But because I'm used to that, like, I have the Brembo, like, master cylinder, I think it's like that M50 something, I don't know, special. It's a really good set of brakes on my triple, and I got so spoiled go through Times Square. I got so spoiled with that set of brakes that like anything but seems like really stingy to me. So, you know, make sure to take the cruiser out, or the sport bike if you get one, and really test it out and feel it out and make your own determination, right? No amount of reviews on the planet can really prepare you for the jump. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different threshold. For me, the threshold was very large, especially for the brakes. Going from something so responsive and so quick, like in every regard, you lean your hips and the bike just tips in and you're already in the next lane. Not so much the case with this one. You really got to put a little bit of effort into it. Again, it is fine handling. It is actually really good handling once you get used to it, but coming from a sport bike, my brain was flipped. So this is all really common sense stuff, guys, but I've had a couple questions of like, what was it like going from a sport bike to a cruiser? Is the jump okay? Did it take you a long time to get acclimated? And these are just my thoughts on it was really the first month that all of this stuff came up. And it's primarily mindset, guys. That is, you know, the ride is in the rider more so than the actual bike to a degree. And it's wrapping your head around the cruiser mindset, making sure you get out there and you kind of test the throttle, test how fast you can go from 0 to 60, test how quick you can slow down, test the front brake, back brake. In my case, test the shocks. Oh my god, the rear shocks are like almost non-existent on this bike, which makes sense because it's a bobber. Alright guys, we're gonna go through Times Square. A little dog. Didn't make it. Hi, dog. Let's see. So we are at... sorry, guys. We are at Central Park South. That is north. This is the south end of the park. Let's see. I think that's the Time Warner building with the two crazy sharp-looking buildings. And Trump's Hotel and shit is all back that way. There are your landmarks. Oh yeah, that breeze. Another thing that I have to get rid of is, I don't know about the rest of you guys out there with sport bikes, but if you have one, you know that kind of like animal, it's like the dog with the mail truck, right? Or the mailman. Whenever the dog sees the mailman, he goes a little crazy. Whenever I'm on my sport bike and I see another sport bike, I go a little bit crazy. So when I see a sport bike, now I gotta ignore that urge because it's a different world. Like, I don't... you can't keep up, nor should you. Maybe you can for a little bit, but it's like, again, not the purpose of the ride, but you get that little thing in you, you know, and I start to rev it out, and then I have to rewind myself back, and I have to tell myself, just chill, because it's not going to end well for you. So that's another thing, too, that you kind of got to erase. And, you know, here's, like, first world problems, right, because I got two motorcycles now. So when I jump between the two, I have to flip this switch between the two mindsets, and it's important that you're in that mindset for safety's sake, you know. So I'm constantly, like, before I get on the bike, I have this like zen moment where I'm like, okay, you're on a cruiser, chill out. That's kind of what you just have to do. You got to train yourself to get in the mindset. And I had become so accustomed to just having that triple that I was just always in the same mindset. I always knew what I was doing. And I also consequently realized that I travel pretty quickly, because, like, this is where am I at, 25? This feels pretty exhilarating, and I think it's because the seat is lower, and the position is different, everything's different, but I'm like, you know, 30 miles an hour is plenty. Might have been pushing it a little bit on that sport bike, but again, like I said, on a sport bike, it makes you want to go. Let me shut up for a minute. We're in Times Square, a magnificent display of commercialism and consumerism. Oh my God, look at all these people. Ooh. Very bright lights, my friend. Hopes and dreams. Where are the big Mickey Mouse and big puppets that try to steal money from tourists? Where are they at? What a magnificent place. Hey, it's that Home Alone dude. It's Marv. That's kind of mean. Get out of here. Gotta get out of here. Look at that. Craziness. Just straight craziness. I used to work in Times Square, so I got really tired of it. And now, I kind of like coming through here. It's just a really interesting display of people. It's hot. It smells like grilled meats. My friend. Oh! Yeah, overall, guys, I'm pretty pleased with the jump. And again, I've said, like, I kind of feel like I've accelerated my life, right? So, like, when I had my first bike, I was a baby, and now I feel like a 70-year-old. I don't know what it is. Sorry, my camera cut off for a minute, guys. But anyway, we were talking about my age. I feel like I've accelerated my life in motorcycles, and I was totally ready to accept this laid-back approach. It's such a wonderful thing. I also don't want to let go of the sport bike thing, because sometimes I get a little itchy, sometimes I get a little excited. If you couldn't tell, I still post a lot of triple footage. Don't you worry, I won't stop. But yeah, the jump is really nice. Again, once you settle in, you'll be happy you did, because riding isn't only about going fast, not only about having the fastest bike. It's about enjoying it and seeing things and experiencing the feel of the engine and the feel of the wind, right? All that's possible on this bike. Ooh. Fifth Ave, my friends, fairly empty. Go down to Soho, maybe. It's that beginning feel, guys. Feels so good. Something about when you rev out this bike, maybe it's a V-twin thing, you rev it out, and then when you let off the throttle and you kind of cruise, like the feel of the non-firing pistons going up and down, you still feel it. It's like you're rolling over hills. It's really nice, really therapeutic. I enjoy it. I look forward to revving out the bike and then just letting it coast, you know? Jesus fucking Christ. Make up a decision. Let's go. So guys, a few tips, and I'll do a separate video about this, of like things you got to do to this bike, right, to make it rideable. If you're going to get a bobber, word to the wise, like I said before, there's barely any suspension in the back of a bobber, and that's because that's the style of the bike, okay? Like, I started saying this, and then I would turn right around and tell myself, I don't want to hear this shit, because you should know this. Bobbers are not known to be plushy and comfortable. They're not meant to be big cruisers, so you're gonna feel the bumps that I'm driving on right now. You're gonna feel them. There's a couple modifications I want to do, nothing crazy, to make it a little more comfortable. And then it should be fine, because I don't plan on doing 500-mile trips on this thing. I just kind of want to, like, maybe 100 or 2 miles at a time, probably at most, so this will be more than fine for that. But just know that if you're getting a bobber, it's not going to be the most comfortable thing in the world. Secondly, no. If you're going to be doing longer trips, you're going to want to have cruise control of some sort. After I did my 200-mile trip, or yeah, 100-mile both ways, my wrist was absolutely destroyed, and my forearms looked like I had been working out for 3 hours straight. It was crazy. So, in order to be comfortable on this type of bike, for the comfort of your arms and your throttle hand to match the comfort level of this motorcycle in total, you're going to want to get cruise control. If they don't offer cruise control, get one of these guys. I love this thing. It's called Cramp Buster. It's literally like a $2 piece of plastic. You get it, you flip it on, and you can kind of just rest your hand right like that. So when you get tired, you don't have to hold on too much. Great modification. I do feel like an old man having it, but I do not care, because my forearm thanks me for it. So second thing to know before getting a cruiser. Cruise control. Let's see, third thing, guys. Get used to splaying your legs out. It's different than a sport bike. You're not pinching in like this, although when I get going a little faster I do. You're keeping your legs out, and it's obviously not like this, is a little extreme, but like, you want to be comfortable. And what's really great about this, so in the winter I have a feeling that the V-twin is very hot. In the winter I think it'll be a blessing, because a lot of heat comes off that engine. In the summer, not so much. Also, kind of in tandem with that is the breeze you get on your legs when you're able to just sit like this and chill. Wonderful in the summer when you're overly hot. You get this wonderful cool breeze right here for us gentlemen, right? But in the winter I feel like it's going to be quite miserable. So I don't know, it's a trade-off. I'm not sure. I'll let you know in about 6 months when it start getting to get cold. Alright guys, I'm going to chill here today. Washington Square Park. This is the end point of this video, guys, and yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Most of this is pretty common sense, but things that I kind of shared the things that I discovered about my transition in the order that they occurred to me. So that first one, guys, the mindset, that was the biggest one by far. And you know, for most of you guys out there, if you're transitioning between sport bike and cruiser, or cruiser and sport bike, you've done your research. I know you have. You got to YouTube, you've been looking up videos. You might be looking at this video right now. But you kind of already know what you're getting into, and just kind of sit with that and really make sure, before you pull the trigger, make sure you are 100% sold on that. It'll give you a little more peace and quiet. But anyway, guys, that's my opinions on my transition into the Indian Scout Rogue, a bike that I absolutely love now. If you haven't checked out my review video, guys, make sure to check it out. I did it in 2 parts. The second has my first ride impressions. The first part is really more just of a ride in the city and the highway, so you kind of get a feel for both. And then I also did a first ride with my exhaust, which is pretty cool, so check that out too. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.